3 spine-chilling true winter horrors exposed. Discover the sinister secrets behind haunted ice. The low howl of wind swept through the Minnesota suburb like a ghostly whisper, a chilling reminder of all that lay beneath the surface of the snow. The air was thick with an unsettling tension, as if each house harbored secrets coated in ice, waiting to be unearthed. Sarah Johnson, a single mother, felt it the prickle on the back of her neck, the nagging sense that something unspeakable lurked just out of sight. This was no ordinary winter wonderland. As Sarah navigated the frostbitten street with her 2 kids, Emily, a moody teenager, and little Max, who wore a bright red scarf that barely hid his wide-eyed wonder, the festive lights blinked cheerfully around them. She forced a smile, a thin veneer over her unease. Last year, their father had disappeared, and a void of grief enveloped their holiday plans. Yet, in this new suburb, she resolved to craft a joyous season despite the chilling shadow hanging over them. As dusk fell and the world turned silver under the moonlight, Emily and Max darted ahead, excited by the glimmering decorations. Sarah lingered, caution gnawing at her thoughts. She heard whispers of past vanishings from other parents' stories too strange to dismiss. Just then, a piercing scream echoed through the night, sending their hearts racing, but it was only a splash of ice falling from tree branches. Still, paranoia tightened its grip on Sarah. "Mom! Come here!" Emily's voice rang through the cold, laced with eagerness and fear, pulling Sarah from her spiraling thoughts. The children were captivated by a towering ice sculpture in their neighbor's yard, crafted by the enigmatic Mr. Gray, a man no one seemed to know much about. The statue resembled a young girl long rumored to have vanished decades ago. The likeness was haunting. Max tugged on Sarah's sleeve, urgency in his eyes. Despite her instinct to turn away, they drew closer. "Feel the cold," Emily whispered. The ice was unnaturally frigid, a damp chill creeping into their bones. Shadows elongated as night deepened, creating contorted shapes that morphed in the corner of their eyes. Then, the breathtaking horror struck. Details began to reveal themselves in the ice, a slight grimace, eyes glimmering with life trapped forever, frozen in fear. Sarah's gut twisted. "We should go," she said, but Max insisted on staying, captivated. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With each passing day, unease settled over Sarah like the ever-falling snow. Max and Emily spent more time with Mr. Gray. Sarah's heart raced with every mention of his name. Was he drawing them in? Questions filled her mind, tainted by memories of parents warning their children to avoid the reclusive man. Yet when they returned, giggles replaced tension. She felt like an outside spectator, watching as they danced closer to danger. One fateful evening, she returned home from work exhausted, her nerves taut. The house was eerily quiet. Too quiet. Panic clawed its way up her throat. Max. Emily. The voices in her mind screamed. Darkness closed in, and her heart thumped like a war drum as she rushed outside into the grip of frigid air. Her breaths came out in puffs of fear, each step toward Mr. Gray's yard heavier than the last, dread gnawing at her insides. Shadows twisted with every blink, hiding secrets in every corner. There, she heard laughter, a chilling sound that echoed too joyfully against the biting cold, wrapping around her like chains. What was happening? As she moved closer, the statue gleamed. Under a bright moon, its eyes glimmering like wet stones, watching, waiting. The atmosphere shifted, thick and palpable, it felt alive. Would she uncover these dark secrets too? Or would she, like the girl from the ice, become another whisper on the wind? As Sarah stared at the statue, her body screamed for her to flee, but she was rooted in place, mesmerized by the icy gaze that seemed to bore into her very soul. Moonlight cast sinister shadows, and the laughter swirled around her, permeating the chilling air. It felt like a taunt, echoing the dread rising in her throat. "Mom, look!" Emily's voice pierced through the haze. Sarah's heart sank at the sight of her daughter, closer to the ice sculpture than ever, a cruel fascination within her bright eyes. Max stood nearby, wide-eyed and entranced. "Get back, the both of you!" Panic rippled through Sarah. "Now!" Emily hesitated, her expression faltering. But the laughter, now louder, more disembodied, seemed to encourage her. "It's just ice, Mom. It's beautiful. Beautiful." The word sent shivers down Sarah's spine. How could beauty be so cold, so lifeless? She felt as if icy tendrils wrapped around her heart, squeezing. "Look at the face," Max squeaked, pointing up. She's smiling. Fury mixed with fear as Sarah took a step forward to pull them both away, but the ground beneath her endured a shift. The snow cracked. No, the ice itself sounded like it was groaning, a warning echoing through the neighborhood. "Get over here!" Sarah yelled again. Now, desperation clawed at her fiercely. Each breath felt like swallowing shards of glass. From behind her, she could hear footsteps crunching on the frozen ground, and the friendly voice of Mr. Gray emerged from the darkness. "Ah, I see the children admire my work. I assure you, it's magic." His tone slithered into the night. "Stay away." Sarah's voice cracked as she turned, facing the man who seemed to materialize from the shadows. Mr. Gray's face was partially obscured by the night, yet his eyes burned into the glow of the lights. "Leave my kids out of this. Magic is all around us, don't you see?" He continued, unfazed, as he peered past her at Emily and Max. "The ice shows us, it preserves the essence of those who pass through this winter. Isn't it wonderful, dear children?" "And no," Max squeaked, suddenly terrified, tugging on Emily's sleeve. But Emily, entranced as ever, spoke up. "It is beautiful, Mom. Why don't you see? We're safe." "No!" Sarah shouted. The intensity of her fear surged, desperate to cut through the veil that enveloped her children. "We're leaving." But as she reached for them, icy fingers of dread gripped her heart. The moment stretched, her kids still rooted in place, a combat of wills waging in the freezing air. "Come here, my dears," Mr. Gray whispered, a smile unsettlingly wide forming on his lips. "You're meant to be part of it. The beauty of eternal winter, it will keep you warm." In a flash, the laughter morphed. It was high-pitched and frenzied, it wrapped around her like a shroud. A bright light flickered in the ice sculpture and, for a heartbeat, Sarah thought she saw the girl's lips move. Then the moment shattered. "No!" She lunged, grabbing Emily's wrist just as the shadow behind her loomed larger. Mr. Gray's voice grew deeper, more menacing. "You cannot escape what is called. They are mine." The ground quaked, the statue shifting, ice cracking. Sarah's breath hitched as she pulled her kids back, adrenaline surging, their feet skidding over frozen ground. Her heart raced as she shouted, "Run! Now!" Storming back toward their house, she felt the cold bite deeper, felt the unseen eyes watching. Behind her, she didn't dare look back, but a haunting melody crescendoed in the wind, weaving through the trees. As they burst through the door, slamming it shut, she turned to face her children. But terror gnawed at her mind. What had they seen? What did he mean? Max whispered, his innocence shattered by the night's horror. And in that instant, a chill swept through the room. The flickering lights blinked, casting a shadow behind them, and Sarah's blood ran cold. They weren't alone. Someone or something was still with them. What had Mr. Gray awakened? And how much time did they have before the darkness touched them too? The air inside their home was thick with a suffocating silence, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Sarah could feel the chill creeping in, existing like a ghost that had slipped through the crack of the door they just slammed shut. She stood there, eyes darting between her children, who both looked bewildered, their innocence nearly shattered by the night's events. "Mom?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "What is happening?" It's fine," Sarah stammered, but her voice felt hollow. Panic throbbed through her veins, urging her to act, yet paralyzing her in place. "We just need to stay away from the windows." Max whimpered, his small face pale against the backdrop of their warm home. "But the statue." "Shoo!" Sarah hissed, moving closer to them, blocking their view of the outside. "We need to stay quiet." A rustle from the back of the house sent her heart racing. The soft thump echoed, deep inside the shadows, like footsteps testing the floorboards. Sarah felt a weight, a dreadful pull of dread anchoring her feet. She could hear them now, low whispers, calling her name. "Sarah," it wrapped around her, gentle yet insistent. The walls seemed to pulse with each syllable, each breath, making her skin prickle with static. "Mom!" Emily cried again, eyes wide. "It's coming from over near the statue." "No! It's just in our heads," Sarah shouted, squeezing her eyes shut. The thought made her dizzy. How could this be real? The very essence of the night seemed to seep into their home, twisting their safe haven into a harbinger of nightmares. Suddenly, the lights flickered, a frantic dance of shadows along the walls. They dropped low to the ground, curling around the furniture, reaching for them like greedy hands. Sarah clenched her teeth, swallowing the rising tide of panic. "Hold on to me," she commanded, grabbing onto her children tighter. A voice, low and gravelly, broke through the silence, chilling her to the core. "You can't keep them from me forever." She turned toward the sound, her heart racing as the shadows lengthened. The figure of Mr. Gray filled the doorway, a dark silhouette among the yellow glow of their living room, his presence oppressive. Once touched by winter, they belonged to the ice. "No!" Sarah shouted, instinctively stepping in front of her children. Each breath felt frosty on her skin, fear pulsed through her as she met his gaze. The world beyond Mr. Gray felt like a distant nightmare, edges blurred and muffled. "This is not over," he said, voice smooth like silk slipping through her fingers. "They must choose, and so must you, dear Sarah." Suddenly, the ice from the statue filled her mind the way the girl smiled, the icy grip it had on her children. For a moment, a wave of past winter nights washed over her, memories of laughter and joy, now tinged with an unshakable dread. She felt a tug at her heart, an urge to surrender, to give in to the pull of eternal winter. "Choose now," he demanded sharply, his eyes glinting with unfathomable hunger. "Get back!" Sarah screamed, lunging for the door. But the floor trembled beneath her, the walls pulsed with energy as if the house itself were siding with Mr. Gray. Shadows clung to her ankles like anchors, holding her in place. Emily screamed, jolting Sarah back to the moment. "Mom, I want to go outside. It's too cold in here." "No, Emily. You don't understand." Panic flared, her mind racing. "We need to fight this." Yet as she struggled, the laughter from beyond crept back into the room, intoxicating her like a potent drug. A part of her yearned to step outside, to touch the ice, to feel its cold caress. The shadows throbbed around them, whispering seductively. The decision clawed at her. What would she sacrifice to save her children from the icy grip of darkness? Outside, the figure of the ice statue stood tall, flickering under the moonlight, its smile ever wider. And then, the eerie laughter crescendoed, wrapping around them, drowning out her thoughts. When Sarah caught her breath, she could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes watching through the glass, waiting for a choice to be made. But choices in a world this dark rarely offered freedom. Before she could react, the ground shook again. The walls began to ice over, cold creeping upward, a chilling ascent that threatened to reach them all. Would she be strong enough to pull her family from the brink, or would the winter consume them? A frozen window shattered, sharp shards spraying across the room like dormant faces awakening in rage. What would step through next? The air shifted suddenly, as an oppressive weight settled down on Sarah's chest. Silently, she whispered a prayer, hoping the night would somehow shift in their favor, that the darkness would spare them. They stood together, locked in their small circle of panic, trembling as the icy tendrils snaked closer, creeping up their legs like chill fingers. "Mom!" Max's voice broke through the fear, small and quaking. "I can't feel my feet." "Stay close, Max," Sarah commanded, her heart racing faster than her mind could follow. She looked around frantically, searching for a way out, a way to break free from this nightmare, but with each glance, her hopes dwindled. The house seemed alive, mocking her desperation. "Mom, the statue." Emily's eyes were wide, glistening with unshed tears. "It's not just a statue, is it?" "No, baby, it's not," Sarah admitted, choking on the truth. "But we can't let it take you. Not now." More shards of ice from the window sprinkled the floor like confetti, sharp crystals dancing through the air, muting the sounds of their panic. Suddenly, a scream from outside pierced the veil of confusion, a hollow, anguished cry that sent shivers cascading down her spine. "Did you hear that?" Max whimpered, eyes darting to the door. "Yes, I heard it." Sarah hurried him back, holding both her children in a tight grip. Shadows twisted in the corners, creeping closer like a tide of darkness. Each soft rustle sent daggers of terror into her heart. Mr. Gray loomed larger in the doorway, wreathed in darkness, and his voice rolled over them like thunder. "You can either give them to me willingly or I will take them." The glint in his eyes sent Sarah's blood running cold. "Get away from us!" she shouted, though her voice cracked like fragile ice. She instinctively took a step backward, her eyes racing between her children and the doorway. The whispers surged again, and she could feel the cold crawling up her arms, seeking to seep into her very soul. "Mom, what do we do?" Emily cried, her grip on Sarah's arm tightening. "Trust me," Sarah whispered back, trying to sound brave. But doubt gnawed at her. There were rules, and giving in could bring about something unspeakable. What was she willing to fight for? And then there was the soft, almost alluring hum that washed over her, inviting her to release her hold. Once touched by winter, the phrase echoed, reverberating not only in her mind but in her core. But before she could decide, the shadows coalesced into something more tangible, a writhing mass that clawed toward them, an amorphous being dripping with darkness. It beckoned, with promises of warmth and safety, mocking the chill that enveloped them. "Choose." Mr. Gray howled, a toothy grin splitting his visage, exposing pointed teeth. "Their fate rests in your hands, Sarah." With a surge of desperation, Sarah lunged toward the window, desperate to hold on to the last vestiges of warmth and light. "We don't choose you," she yelled, fingers clawing at the shattered frame. The scream outside rose again, mingling with the whispers, and Sarah felt her heart shatter alongside the glass. But the shadows rushed in, swallowing her scream as they coiled around her children, pulling them closer to Mr. Gray. "No!" Sarah reached for them, her voice turning to a howl, but as her hands desperately grasped for Max and Emily, she felt icy fingers yank back, pulling her further away. The shadows danced wildly now, seething and roaring, twisting into malignant forms. What if they don't choose at all? Sarah yelled, a pit of fear welling in her stomach. The laughter from outside bubbled, echoing morbidly with flesh-tearing joy, and as it did, a fierce gale burst through the broken window, swirling into their home, filling every crevice with blizzard-like fury. And in that moment, time seemed to freeze. Sarah stared into the shadows, determination transforming into recklessness. "I'll fight, even if it's for nothing." But the shadows only laughed back, and within the chaos, Max and Emily's faces twisted in confusion and fear. Another cry fled the house, a warning perhaps, and as Sarah gasped for breath against the swirling ice, she thought, what would it take to thaw their hearts from the curse? Suddenly the room dimmed, and her children began to turn toward the ice, their small bodies silhouetted against the cold fading light. Then there was a surge, a crash reverberated through the house, the sound of splintering wood followed by a haunting silence. What had broken through this time? And was it friend or foe? The silence that followed the crash was suffocating, wrapping around Sarah like an oppressive fog. Her heart thundered in her chest as she strained to hear any sign of what lay beyond. Mom? Max's voice was barely a whisper, trembling with uncertainty. He clung to her, eyes wide with dread. She hushed, her instincts screaming that noise would only draw whatever had come in closer. It felt as if the very air thickened, electrified with malice just outside their view. Please, don't let it get us. Emily cried, pressing herself against Sarah's side, her breath shaking. Sarah can feel her daughter's warmth, but the chill in the room turned her insides cold. Trying to stay composed, she slowly shifted her gaze towards the direction of the splintering sound. Something had broken through, she could feel it, a malevolence grasping at the edges of their fragile haven. A low growl echoed, reverberating across the walls, and dread twisted Sarah's stomach. The shadows writhed in satisfaction, absorbing the fear that radiated from her. The statue loomed beyond, seeming to pulse with an ominous glow, twisting her remaining resolve like a vice. Through the darkness, a silhouette emerged, a hulking shape that tore through the corners of the room and flung aside debris like it was made of paper. The glint of something sharp caught the light, a claw elongating from a gnarled hand that looked too large, too beast-like. Get behind me! Sarah snapped, drawing her children closer. She took a step away from the creature, instincts kicking in to protect. What is it? Max squeaked, wanting to bolt for the door but too afraid. I don't know. Sarah's voice cracked, barely a breath. The world seemed to shrink, shrinking until it was just her, her children, and the looming terror. The beast stopped, sniffing the air, and then it began a low, gurgled growl that escalated into a chilling howl. It was no longer about the children. No, it was about something far deeper. Something primal. Once touched by winter echoed in her mind again, louder now, sharper. The ice beckoned with wicked promises. The creature's eyes blazed with an unnatural light, reflecting memories, regrets. Once touched by winter, what does it want? Emily sobbed. Sarah didn't have time for answers. With no thought left but survival, she reached for the jagged remnants of the window glass. In her panic, she could barely grip the icy shards without cutting herself, but she had to protect her children. Stay behind me! She yelled, her own voice echoing through the room, trying to drown out the echoes of whatever this creature represented. Its laughter filled the space, deep and resonant, vibrating through the air. You'd fight for them? For their cursed souls? The shadows swirled, retreating momentarily as if to evaluate their next move. In that brief instant, Sarah felt time slow. Her mind raced, desperate for a plan, something to fight back. But the whispers swelled again, creeping into her thoughts, sowing doubt. Give yourself. Free them from their winter doom. She could see it in their eyes, the flicker of longing, of surrender. No. I want to choose. Sarah screamed, clutching onto the last vestiges of hope for her children. What she didn't realize was that the shadows were listening, waiting. Suddenly, another crash erupted, but this time from the ceiling. With a terrifying roar, the floor began to splinter and crack, and Sarah barely had time to gasp as a heavy mass fell, blocking her view of the creature. But from the dust and debris, a new sound emerged, a whimper, gentle yet haunting. Mom, help! Max's voice pushed through the haze, but it wasn't just him. What else was there? What had broken through now, in defense of this family amidst chaos? And as the dust settled, shapes began to form, faint outlines rising where once there were shadows. Were they friends? Or were they the harbingers of something even more sinister? A feeling of impending doom flooded through Sarah as she prepared for whatever emerged next, knowing the battle for her children's lives was far from over. The true horror of the night wasn't just coming for them, it was already inside the warmth of their home, but was it leading them to salvation or damnation? Dust hung thick in the air, mingling with the chill that seeped through the cracks in the walls. Shapes began to coalesce, forming silhouettes that flickered in and out of focus. As the debris settled, Sarah's breath quickened. Her instinct told her to retreat, but her heart screamed to charge forward. "Max! Emily!" she hissed, her voice low and urgent. "Stay close. Don't move." The faint outlines flickered brighter, and then a woman stepped forward, or what looked like a woman. Her skin was ghostly pale, almost translucent, and her eyes bore the weight of sorrow. "Help us," she whispered, her voice a haunting melody that wrapped around Sarah's heart, pulling it taut. "They are coming." They take. Before she could finish, the shadow of the beast reappeared beside her, towering and ready to wreak havoc. "Fools!" it snarled, voice deep and mocking. "They are lost. Don't you understand? They are a part of the winter now." Screams echoed inside Sarah's head, drowning out the creature's voice. The shadows of the others converged, and Sarah realized what she faced: lost souls, trapped between realms, drawn in by the same malevolent force that had found her family. "No!" she cried, stepping back, her heart racing. "You're not taking my children." The woman, her features shifting as if caught in a breeze, stretched out a hand. "Only through acceptance can they be saved. Winter waits for no one." Max and Emily pressed against her, wide-eyed, feeling the disruption of the air around them. The beast lunged forward, and Sarah threw out her arm, clutching the jagged glass shard tightly. The glimmer of the shard cut through the deep shadows, illuminating glimpses of anguish and despair on the haunting faces surrounding them. "Mom! What do we do?" Emily whimpered, clinging tighter. "Don't listen to them," Sarah shouted, feeling the grip of panic clawing at her throat. "We need to fight." Just then, the front door banged open, and icy winds rushed in, swirling the dust and shadows within. A new figure emerged, a tall man, cloaked and menacing, his presence colder than the evening air. "Give them to me," he intoned, each word laced with ice. "You have no power here." The shadows writhed in delight, and Sarah felt a chill creep into her bones. She glanced at her children, their faces etched with fear, and knew. "I'm their mother," she declared, voice trembling but resolute. "I will not let you take them." For a heartbeat, silence reigned, only the howling wind outside could be heard. The man smiled, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth, the shadows coiling around him like serpents. "Very well," he whispered, glancing at the beast at his side. "Let us see how strong that love really is." With a flick of his wrist, the wind intensified, sweeping through the room like a torrent, dragging Sarah and her children into the depths of terror. The shadows tightened around them, a suffocating embrace. "Max! Emily! Hold on to me!" Sarah screamed, but the words felt futile against the sheer force of the encroaching night. In that moment of desperation, the air seemed to shift, vibrating with whispered secrets and ancient dread, and she felt the world twist, reality splintering. The room was no longer their home, it was a vessel for their worst fears to manifest and unleash. And just as they were about to be consumed, an echoing roar erupted from the shadows, not from the beast, but from the figures that had appeared. They surged forward, and Sarah felt light pierce through the dark, leading toward a flicker of hope. In the heart of it all, a voice cried out, "Choose." The choice loomed before them like an abyss, dark and inviting, ready to swallow them whole. As Sarah grasped her shard tighter, she knew the battle for her children would push her further than she ever thought possible. What would the shadows make her sacrifice? And would it truly save her family, or only deepen their entrapment? The moment stretched, each breath thick with dread. Shadows flickered, glancing between Sarah and her children as if waiting for her resolve to unravel. "Choose," the voice pressed, its tone echoing with an unfathomable weight. What could that even mean? A path to salvation or deeper damnation? Max trembled beside her, his small hand gripping hers with an urgency that made her heart ache. Emily's eyes widened, tear-streaked but fierce. They were staring, hopeful yet terrified. Sarah's instincts kicked into overdrive as time ticked. "Mom," Max pleaded, voice small against the chaos. I don't want to be taken." "Hold tight," she whispered back, casting a frantic glance around the swirling darkness. It pulsed with energy that suffocated and burned at the same time, revealing the horror that lurked beyond. "Choose." The entity's voice sliced through her skin, ice-cold and sharp. The jagged teeth of the cloaked man gleamed as he looked on, an architect of her nightmares. Sarah could feel it, the pulse of fear in her children's hearts, matching the erratic beat of her own. Desperation surged like iced blood through her veins. "What if," she whispered, the question forming in her mind like the sharpening edge of the glass shard in her grip. What if she had the power to save them, to shove back the winter's dark embrace? Or to sacrifice? The thought chilled her further. Would they endure more destruction in that exchange? Before she could ponder the choice, the shadows howled, enacting their dominion over the space. The shadows of the lost souls writhed, whispering something that felt like a long-forgotten secret. A dark memory reached out, a moment when her own mother had made a decision that divided their fates forever. Would she honor that memory or allow it to dissipate into the void? "Mom! What's happening?" Emily cried, her voice cutting through the oppressive noise. "Stay with me," Sarah ordered, trying to hold herself steady against the wave of despair closing in around them. The boundaries between reality and nightmare dissolved into nothing, making it hard to breathe. She couldn't lose them. Not now. In desperation, Sarah brandished the shard as if it were the beacon of hope in this storm. "I will not choose between my love and my children," she shouted, her voice firm against the crackling shadows. "I will fight." The shadows shrieked in protest, recoiling momentarily from the light emanating from her shard. She could see the lost figures' anguished faces start to lose definition, as if her courage had a tangible effect, driving them back. The beast's growl was low and rumbling, but even it hesitated. But the man laughed, the sound like ice breaking upon a frozen lake. "You think you can alter the order of things? You are only dragging them closer to despair." The ground shook, and the air crackled with tension as the shadows thickened around them. How was she supposed to fight against this? But then, clarity struck. "No," she uttered, almost to herself. "They want me to give in. To believe I've lost." With that thought, she surged forward, using the shard to draw a line in the dirt. A boundary against the encroaching darkness. "Step back," she commanded, surprising even herself with the strength behind her words. The figures hesitated, shadows freezing mid-motion, caught in a tidal shift of energy. The beast roared in frustration, lurching toward Sarah and her children, but the man spoke again. "This is only the beginning. You cannot escape." But she wouldn't relent. Sarah clenched her teeth, ready for whatever fate awaited her. If she had to battle the darkness, she would do it to keep her children safe. And just as she believed she could hold this line, the shadows surged back, dark tendrils reaching for her, hungry for warmth. In that instant, the light shifted again, and the piercing voice echoed around them once more. "Choose. Will you sacrifice your love for the sake of fear, or embrace the darkness together? Would the shadows win? Or could her defiance forge a new path in this frozen snare?" With a sudden, bone-chilling rush, a figure loomed at the edge of her vision, one that looked familiar but twisted, taunting. It beckoned, whispering secrets of a past she had buried deep within. What truth lay hidden in the darkness? And how far would she go to unearth it? The world around Sarah twisted, the air heavy with despair. Her breath came fast, each exhale fraught with the chill that bit at her skin. She could see the tendrils of darkness plodding, inching slowly toward her and her children. Behind them, reality wavered away, and the shadows drew closer like predators stalking their prey. "Mom!" Max's voice trembled, snapping her back, the fear in his eyes pulling at her heartstrings. She tightened her grip on the shard, its edge cutting into her palm, grounding her. "Stay close. Focus on me," she urged, shooting a glance back at the looming presence, the cloaked figure that was both a man and a nightmare. While the shadows twisted behind him, creeping toward them with a hunger that made her stomach churn, this monster grinned wide, those jagged teeth glimmering in the dim light. "Embrace the darkness, Sarah," he taunted, his voice slithering into her mind like poison. "You know the truth. It was never about them." A wave of energy surged around her abruptly, and a shiver ran down her spine as memories flooded her mind, faceless figures she couldn't place, voices whispering the past she tried to forget. Breaks of laughter mixed with distant screams, shadows of her childhood tangled with guilt. "Mom?" Emily's voice pulled her back again, desperation carved deep into her features. "What do we do?" "Fight!" Sarah cried, her resolve sharpened by the fear she saw clouding her children's eyes. She stepped toward the shadows, drawing strength from the shard, imagining it as a shield. "Watch!" She challenged the lurking darkness. With every ounce of will, she thrust the shard forward, the air around her shimmering with latent energy. The shadows recoiled, and hesitation flickered in their depths. "Your defiance only delays the inevitable," the man sneered, his voice a cold wind slicing through the dark. "You can't keep them safe forever." Each word coiled around her like vines, squeezing harder. Was he right? What if by holding on to her love, she was putting them in a deeper danger? "No!" she shouted, fury igniting within her. "You will not take them. I will not sacrifice them." As her voice rang out, the shadows howled, and a chaotic swell of darkness surged forward. Sarah braced herself, pulling her children closer to her side, squeezing Max's tiny hand in her own. She could feel him trembling, the pulse of terror thrumming in the air. But beyond the shadows, the figure she had seen earlier, the twisted familiarity pained her heart. "Your choices carry weight, Sarah." The burdens of the past, it whispered, caressing the edge of her sanity. "Would you sacrifice one to save two?" Images flickered in her mind, a sense of déjà vu creeping in. There was a moment long ago, a choice her mother had made, a sacrifice that haunted her. The memory was jagged, sharp, and bitter. "I will not repeat her mistakes," she shouted, and a monstrous roar erupted from the darkness. The shadows expanded, the ground trembling beneath her feet. She felt the pull, the seductive temptation of fear wrapping around her. The cloaked figure laughed, a sound that shattered the moment. "You are teetering on the brink of a great revelation, Sarah. What are you waiting for?" she screamed, holding the shard before her like a lifeline. "Show me." In response, the shadows surged forward, a collective tide of darkness, each tendril reaching to drag her into their depths. "Mom!" Both children cried, squeezing her hands tighter. Were they truly trapped? Could she pull them back from the abyss, or would embracing the truth drag them all under? The shadows thrashed, stretching across the ground like claws grasping for escape. The air dwelled with tension, heavy and electric. Sarah's heart raced as the abyss of secrets loomed. Would she confront the demons of her past? What sacrifice awaited her, and would it all lead to salvation, or would hope perish in the silence? Embrace it or watch them slip away, the haunting voice resonated within her. Time stretched. The choice loomed, gnawing deeper, every pulse reeking of fear. Would she take the plunge into darkness or stampede toward light? The shadows lunged. Sarah squeezed her children tighter, their little hearts beating frantically against her chest. The chill in the air escalated into a biting wind that rattled her bones. Each tendril of darkness seemed alive, seeking purchase, eager to suffocate their resolve. "Mom, help!" Max cried, tears streaming down his dirt-streaked cheeks. Her heart cracked at the sight. Yet, the fear within her ignited something shield-like, raw and powerful. "Hold on." She fought the rising tide of terror, the shard pulsing with energy, reminding her of its purpose. In a swift movement, Sarah raised it higher, feeling its jagged edge connect with the new power coursing around her. The shadows writhed at its binding light, flaring like angry serpents as they shrank back momentarily. "Nice try," the cloaked figure sneered, shrugging off her defiance like a summer coat. "You think that will work?" With every word, the darkness surged again, more ferocious this time. The teeth of it snapped together loudly, a promise of pain. The ground beneath them trembled, fissures appearing, swallowing the sparse light around her. Behind her, another scream. "Emily! Mom, I can't breathe!" Frantic, Sarah pivoted, forcing her weak legs to carry her. She had to push through, had to survive. "Keep holding," she urged, her voice rising above the cacophony. "We'll get through this together." The shadows continued to coil around them, greedy, ravenous. The bitterness of fear cracked her resolve. "What do you want?" she shouted at the figure, desperation making her feral. "What I want," it hissed, "is for you to understand that your love, that, dear Sarah, is your greatest weakness." A flash of memory. Her mother, once full of warmth, now draped in the pallor of shadows. The scene dropped into her mind like an anchor, the way her mother had kissed her goodbye before stepping into the dark. "Stop!" she shouted, squeezing her eyes shut to drive the echoes away. "I want to be like her. Not again." Suddenly, the shard flared, illuminating a vivid path ahead. Fear and hope mingled, casting a new light against the encroaching darkness. She felt the energy coalesce into something solid, something that might just weave a way to safety. "Now!" she roared, focusing all her will, thrusting the shard forward. "Leave us alone." A luminous shockwave exploded outward, forcing the shadows into a cacophony of howls. The cloaked figure stumbled back, the anger twisting its features into grotesque fury. "You think this ends here?" it screeched, its voice a mix of rage and disbelief. Time felt suspended as the shadows recoiled, swirling violently. With each moment, each heartbeat, the darkness fought against its retreat. The air crackled with furious energy, that scorching truth pulling at her. But then, in the heart of the chaos, a horrifying clarity emerged, shadows peeled away, revealing an impossible sight. One figure stood in the distance, obscured by the chaos but unmistakably familiar. "Help me," a voice pleaded, a voice she thought she'd lost. "Mom?" Sarah whispered, but the word drew only cold silence. Max and Emily turned, following her gaze. Their faces scrunched up in confusion and fear. The moment shattered. The shadows lunged again, and reality twisted as the figure evaporated into the dark. "Is it her?" Emily clung to her mother tightly. "Is she back?" "No." Sarah breathed, hot terror gripping her chest. "It couldn't be. It wouldn't be." Desperate, she tightened her grip on the shard. The darkness returned with renewed vigor, hungry and furious. "Make your choice." The cloaked figure bellowed, its voice vibrating through her very bones. "Or lose what you hold dear." Time snapped back in place, the bleak urgency crashing in like a wave. Could she turn her back on a lost truth? The shadows slithered toward them, claws outstretched, and Sarah felt her resolve break, the choice hanging heavy in the air. Would she dare to drag her family into the truth they feared, even if it led to despair? Darkness enveloped them once more. The fight was far from over, but Sarah could sense something darker emerging. Sarah, the shadows whispered in unison, echoing through her very being. What will you choose? A breathless pause. And then the ground beneath her feet began to tremble once more, hinting at a choice far more profound than fear. The shadows twisted, coiling and rippling, each one alive with mockery and seduction. A bone-deep cold settled in Sarah's chest, but even in the vacuum of despair, she could feel the pulse of her children beside her. The weight of the decision loomed like an anvil threatening to split her apart. "Mom!" Max cried, pulling on her arm, tears streaming down his pale cheeks. "What are we going to do?" His innocence shattered her heart, making reality blur at the edges. "We'll fight, Max. I won't let them take you." The desperation poured from her lips, an ardent vow forged in fear and love. Behind her, a chorus of whispers crescendoed, rising as a languid tide of darkness, a palpable, slithering presence weaving through her thoughts. "You can save them, Sarah, just let go." The voices entwined like vipers, taunting her with lost promises. Shadows danced around her, desperate for connection, and she felt the cold hand of her past slipping back into consciousness. Images of her mother's sorrowful smile, the final goodbye, clawed at the fringes of her mind like frozen fingertips, dragging her into a nightmare. But she couldn't give in. "Listen to me," she shouted, voice tremoring with raw emotion. "This isn't who we are. I am their mother, and I will protect them." The shard in her hand flared, radiating a warmth against the shadow's cold encroachment. With newfound fury, she raised it higher, imagining a barrier between her and the consuming darkness. The air crackled as the shadows recoiled, their malevolence filling the space with howls of outrage. "You think mere defiance can save them?" The cloaked figure bellowed, stepping closer, anger twisting its features into a contorted visage. "Yes. I know that love is stronger than your darkness," she demanded, a fire igniting in her heart. The shadows surged forward again, vengeful and furious, but Sarah held firm, pride surging in her veins. "Stop!" she shouted, thrusting the shard forward like a lance. "You have no power here. Our love is stronger." The light erupted, its brilliance cutting through the night, illuminating the chilling faces of the lost souls. They paused, caught in a flickering moment, their anguish momentarily dimming upon the illumination. "Mom, it's working!" Emily gasped, her awe cutting through the panic. "You're pushing them away." "Yes. We can save them," Sarah yelled, her heart racing as the shard pulsed with energy. She felt buoyed, empowered by her children's faith and her own conviction. But the cloaked figure roared, its voice heavy with fury. "You will regret this. I will take what is mine." As it lunged, the shadows undulated in its wake like a tide breaking against a soft shore, surging back toward the triumphant warmth of the shard. "Max! Emily, hold on!" she screamed, pulling them close. The shadows recoiled momentarily, retreating as light flooded the room, revealing the haunted faces in earnest despair, longing for freedom. "Embrace your truth," one cried, a tinge of hope woven into sorrow as it reached toward Sarah. The others echoed, voices coalescing in a desperate harmony, offering clarity she thought lost. "You must confront what haunts you, only then will they truly be free." Every word cut sharp, igniting an ember of determination inside her. She couldn't push away her past but could instead confront it. "Mom!" She remembered the last day, misunderstanding, full of tangled feelings they never got to resolve. "Stay together," urged Sarah, feeling strength swell. "I will face our fears." The shadows surged angrily, reaching for her, but she turned to Max and Emily, looking fiercely into their eyes. "We are stronger together. We will face the truth. Fight with me." And with that, she leapt forward, shattering the tether of icy fear binding them. She plunged the shard deep into the heart of the darkness, a piercing tremor echoing through the air, and watched as shadows lashed out, twisting and dissipating in agonizing light. The figure roared, thrashing as her resolute love washed over them like a tidal wave of warmth, igniting the lingering souls with radiant hope. "Let go!" Sarah cried, summoning the strength of every loving memory, every laugh shared, every moment. They fell into place, intertwining their sparse lives into a robust bond. "No!" The cloaked figure screeched as if struck, its power rippling outward, then deflating into a gust of frigid nothing. The shadows began to retreat, bound to the remnants of regret they left behind, and Sarah felt weightless, as if gravity had relinquished its wrath. She allowed the light from the shard to flow, a shimmering warmth enveloping the room as the lost souls began to dissolve, their anguished faces easing into serene expressions. One by one, they whispered their gratitude, drifting into warmth, beyond sorrow, into the embrace of comforting peace. "Sarah, thank you," echoed a gentle voice, warm like sunlight on ice. "No!" Sarah cried out. "Thank you for reminding me how to love." The room illuminated, laughter from their past echoing around them. As they stepped into the light together, Sarah held tightly to her children, their bond now unbreakable. And when the shadows had all but vanished, peace filled the room, blanketing them like the softest snow. The night breathed, winter-esque grip loosened, and Sarah, Max, and Emily stood as one, fading echoes of the past transforming instead into a crisp new silence, a sanctuary built upon love, fortified in the harshness of winter, warmed by their courageous journey. And as the final tendrils of darkness dissolved, Sarah whispered breathlessly, "We made it." Together, they walked into the dawn, knowing that love, even when faced with despair, truly conquers all. Now, if you love this story and want more spine-tingling tales, you need to subscribe immediately. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the exclusive new stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, folks. It really helps bring these haunting stories to life. And flood the comments section with your thoughts and reactions. I want to hear your theories about what just went down. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this chilling conclusion, because true fans know that these moments deserve to be shared.